I just want to rediscuss the project communication management. So actually, many experts agree that greatest threat to the success of any project, especially information technology projects, is a failure to communicate. No? Many problems in other knowledge areas, such as unclear scope or unrealistic schedules, indicate problems with communication. It is crucial for a project managers and their teams to make a good communication a priority, especially with key stakeholders like top management. This will be the most commonly problem in our project development. Now, for example, you have 3 to 5 in a groups, no? And even the project leader, no, always informing you that you need to submit this documents, ne? Or your project leader instructed you to accomplish this database or even the design and so on, no? We always encountered a problem on how we'll be able to communicate in a priority manner. No, the IT field is constantly changing, and these changes bring with them a great deal of technical jargon. So when computer professionals have to communicate with non-computer professional, like most business professional and senior leaders, technical jargon can often complicate matters and confuse those who aren't technically savvy. So even though most people use computers today, the gap between users and developers increase as technology advances. So what will be the learning objectives of this lesson? So of course, understand the importance of a good communication in projects. Explain the elements of project communication planning, including how to create a communication management plan and perform a stakeholder communication analysis. Describe various methods for distributing project information and the advantages and disadvantages of each. Discuss the importance of addressing individual communication needs and calculate the number of communications channels in a project. With this lesson, we will be able to understand on how the main outputs of performance reporting help stakeholders stay informed about project resources. We could able to recognize the importance of good communication management for a stakeholder relationship and for resolving issues, because most commonly, it's just only a good communication for us to resolve some problem or some concerns. List various methods for improving project communication, such as managing conflicts, running effective meetings, using emails and other technologies effectively, and using templates. So we have a lot of things for us to use in communication, specifically at present, the social media. No? If you are the leader of the group, you just simply created a group intended for this project development. No? And don't forget to post, of course, your contact number. So once you are not online in your social media account, that project team leader could able to reach you through your phone number or even through your landline. Describe how software can enhance project communication management. So what are the importance of a good communication? Of course, it's very important, right? Greatest threat to many projects is a failure to communicate. No? So, for example, in your capstone project, if one of your crew members encountered issues as concerned a family or family issues or family concern, it is better for him or for her to inform the project leader. No? For the project leader to create a new or to assign another task or this task to another group member. our culture does not portray IT professionals as being good communicators. Of course, majority of us, no, especially in the field of IT, we are not a good communicators. But of course, we need to understand that how we'll be able to create or to develop our project if we don't have a good communications. No? Research shows that IT professionals must be able to communicate effectively to succeed in their positions. So as I mentioned earlier, no, better for us to communicate, to have a good effective communication to succeed in the project. Strong verbal skills are a key factor in career advancement for IT professional. Of course, even we have a good project, no, but we don't know on how we'll be able to deliver in our clients, no, how we'll be able to understand our clients, especially for example, if our client is a Japanese, no, so therefore the group leader and the group member must be able to deliver their project into a of course the English language. Huh? Now, what we have here is the project communication management process. The communication planning, no, because the goal of project communication management is to ensure timely and appropriate generation, collection, dissemination, storage, and disposition of project information. This will be the four main process in project communication management. Number one, of course, the communication planning. It involves determining the information and communication needs of the stakeholders. Who needs what information, when will they need it, and how will the information be given to them. The output of the process is a communication management plan. Number two is, of course, is the information distribution. The main output of this process are updates to organizational process, assets, and requested changes. As what we discussed in our chapter 4, that organizational process as assets include formal and informal plans, policies, procedures, guidelines, information systems, financial systems, management system, and lesson learned and historical information that help people understand, follow, and improve business processes in a specific organizations. Number three, of course, is the performance reporting. Okay, so the output of this process are performance reports, forecast requested changes, recommended corrective actions, and updates to the organizational process assets. For managing stakeholders, the output of this process are resolved issues, approve change requests, and corrective actions, and updates to organizational process asset and the program management plan. Now, this figure summarizes these processes and output showing when they are occur in the typical project. Huh? Now, in communication planning, because communication is so important on projects, every project should include a communication management plan, a document that guides project communications, and this plan could be part of the overall project management plan. The communication management plan will vary with the needs of the project, but some type of written plan should always be prepared. So for example, the small projects such as the project management intranet site project described, of course, in our chapter 3 example. The communication management plan can be part of the team contract. And the communication management plan should address the following items. Okay, the stakeholder communication requirements, information, of course, to be communicated, including formal content and level of detail, the people who will receive the information and who will produce it, the suggested methods or method technologies for conveying the information, and the frequency of communication. So for example, once a week, twice a week, or once a month, twice a month, and so on. Then escalation procedures for resolving issues. So for example, if we encountered problems with our, for example, with the staff, no? So how will be able to escalate the procedures? Revision procedures for updating the communication management plan and a glossary of common terminology. So why do we need to have a glossary of common terminology? Because, for example, you are doing a project with in a hospital. Of course, not all of the persons or staff is knowledgeable in technology. So therefore, we need to define some terminology or technical terminology. It is important to know what kinds of information will be distributed to which stakeholder. So by analyzing stakeholder communication, you can avoid wasting time or money on creating or disseminating unnecessary information. The project's organizational chart is a starting point for identifying internal stakeholders, and you must also include key stakeholders outside of the project organization, such as the customer staff management, and the subcontractor. Now, this table provide part of a sample stakeholder communication analysis that show which stakeholders should get which written communication. And we need to take note that the stakeholder communication analysis includes information such as contact person, for the information, when the information is due, and the preferred format for the information. So you can create a similar table to show which stakeholders should attend which project meetings, and it is always a good idea to include comment sections with this type of tables to record special considerations or details related to each stakeholder. So document, meeting, and so on. Having stakeholders review and approve all stakeholders communication analysis will ensure that the information is correct and useful. So the information distribution getting project information to the right people at the right time and in the useful format is just as important as developing the information in the first place. The stakeholder communication analysis serve as a good starting point for information distribution. Project managers and their teams must decide who receive what information, but they must also decide the best way to distribute the information. Because it is sufficient to send written reports for project informations. Are meetings alone effective in distributing project information? Are meetings and written communication both required for project information? And what is the best way to distribute information to a virtual team members? During the project execution, project team must address important considerations for information distribution. And they often end up updating business processes through improved communication. So for example, they might modify policies and procedures, information system, or incorporate new technologies to improve information distribution. Some aspect of the project might also be changed through formal change requests. So for example, Juan de la Cruz, the program manager in the opening case, might decide that providing key people of his projects with personal digital assistant devices would enhance communications. He would need to request additional funds to provide these devices and training on how to use them. After answering key questions related to project communication, the project managers and their teams must decide the best way to distribute the information. Important considerations to information distribution include the use of technology, formal and informal communication, and the complexity of the communications. So what went wrong? Of course, the telecommunication throughout Asia were severely disrupted on December 26, 2006 after earthquakes of Taiwan damaged undersea cables, slowing internet service and hindering financial transaction, particularly in the currency market. The international telephone traffic was restricted from some countries and internet access is slowed to a ground. So distributing information in an effective and timely manner. Many written reports neglect to provide the important information that good managers and technical people have a knack for asking about. So for example, it is important to include detailed technical information that will affect critical performance features of products or services the company is producing as part of the project. It is even more important to document any changes in technical specification that might affect product performance. So for example, if the undersea telecommunication program included a project to purchase and provide a special diving gear, and the supplier who provided the oxygen tanks enhanced the tanks so divers could stay underwater longer, it would be very important to let other people know about this new capability. Because the information should not be buried in an attachment with a supplier new product brochures. Oral communications also helps build a stronger relationship among project personnel and project stakeholder. Because people make or break projects and people like to interact with each other to get a true feeling for how a project is going. So many people cite research that says in face-to-face interaction, 58% of the communication is through body language, 35% through how the words are said, and a mere 7% through the content of words that are spoken. So, since information technology projects often require a lot of coordination, it is a good idea to have short, frequent meetings. To encourage face-to-face informal communication, some companies have instituted policies that workers cannot use email between certain hours of the business day or even the entire days of the week. So it is always advised that if you send an email to your colleagues, it's just 8 to 5. It is intended for a business business hours, that 8 to 5. Now, the importance of face-to-face communications. So as what we have here, the research says that in the face-to-face interaction, 58% communication is through body language. And so on. So a person's tone of voice and body language say a lot about how he or she really feels. So it depends upon to our body language. We communicate and we pay attention to more than just the actual word someone is saying. We could able to see how he feels. Encourage more face-to-face interaction, of course. Stand-up meetings force people to focus on what they really need to communicate. So this will be the media choice table. So as what we have here, how well medium is suited to assessing commitments, consensus, and so on and so forth. We have a hard copy, we provide hard copy, telephone call, voicemail, email, meeting, and website. So as what we have here, as presented with media choice table. So what went right? Collaboration is a key driver of overall performance of companies around the world. Of course, it's just not one man lang, Parang it is always a group or a collaboration. No? In high-performing companies than the low-performing ones, web conferencing, audio conferencing, and meeting scheduler technologies was applied, and so on. Understanding group and individual communication needs. Excuse. So people are not interchangeable parts. Of course, we need to know that. Because many top managers think they can just add more people to a project that is falling behind schedule. Unfortunately, this approach often causes more setbacks because of the increased complexity of communications. No? In addition to understanding that people are not interchangeable, it is also important to understand individuals' personal preferences for communication. As important to understand individuals' preferences for communications. Geographic location and cultural background also affect the complexity of project communications. So if project stakeholders are in different countries, it is often difficult or impossible to schedule times for two-way communication during normal working hours. Another problem actually is language barriers. It can also cause communication problems. So the same word may have very different meaning in different languages. Time, dates, and other units of measures are also interpreted differently. People from some cultures also prefer to communicate in ways that may be uncomfortable to others. So, for example, the managers in some countries still do not allow workers of lower ranks or women to give formal presentation. Some cultures also reserve written documentation for binding commitments. So personal preferences affect communication needs. And this will be the list. No? Introverts like more private communication while extroverts like to discuss things in public. So judging people are driven to meet deadlines while perceiving people need more help in developing and following plans. Other communication considerations, again, different working hours, language barrier, and different culture norms. So setting the stage of communicating bad news. It is also important to put information in context, no? Especially if it's bad news. No? An amusing example of putting bad news in perspective is in the following letter form of a college student to her parents. No? Variation of this letter can be found on numerous websites. No, because take note of it. That's why it is very important on how we'll be able to deal with our stakeholders to deliver the bad news. So for example, you are still finalizing your software or your program. Then suddenly, it was infected by a virus. So how you'll be able to deliver these issues or concern in your stakeholders. No? So determining the number of communication channels. So we have here the number of communication channels equal to n multiplied by n minus 1 over 2. So where n is the number of people involved. So for example, if you have 10, no? You are 10 in a group. 10 multiplied by 10 minus 1, that is 9. 9 times 10, 90. Divide 2, 45. It means to say that you need to have a 45 meetings. No? Excuse me. Good communication consider many factors before deciding how to distribute information, including the size of the group, the type of information, and the appropriate communication medium to use. People tend to overuse email because it is an easy, inexpensive way to send information to a lot of people. So when asked why you cannot always send an email to a team of 100 people, just as you would to team of 5, one CEO answered, as a group increases in size, you have a whole slew of management challenges, of course. So the impact of number of people on communication. So as you can see here, information distribution involves more than creating and sending status reports or holding periods meetings. So many good projects or the project managers know their personal strength and weaknesses in this area and surround themselves with people who complement their skills. In the opening case, did some on how we'll be able to understand or to deliver by the immediate boss to his secretary or staff. No, it is a good practice to share the responsibility for project communication management with the entire project team. That's why most commonly in our field, no, we assign person a documenter, and at the same time, the persons who in charge to communicate with other co-members, not the leader, no. So performance reporting, it keeps stakeholders informed about how resources are being used to achieve project objectives. Work performance information and measurements, forecasted completion dates, quality control measurements, the project management plan, approved change requests, and deliverables are all important inputs to performance reporting. Two key outputs of performance reporting are performance reports and forecast. Performance reports are normally provided as status reports or progress reports. So many people use the two terms interchangeably, but some people distinguish between them as, of course, a status report, a progress report, and forecast. The project managers must understand and work with various stakeholders. So therefore, they should especially or specifically address how they can use communication to satisfy the needs and expectation of project stakeholders. So in addition, project managers need to devise a way to identify and resolve issues. Two important tools to assist in these areas include using an expectation management matrix and an issue log. So this will be an example of a management matrix. So we have the scope, the time, the cost, the quality, customer satisfaction, and return of investment projection. We have a priority, expectation, and what will be the guidelines. So an issue like example, so the issue description, the impact on project, so that is slightly increased. And you need also to provide a comments, no? Suggestion for improving project communications. So manage conflicts effectively, develop better communication skills. Because, for example, your professor instructed you to provide your chapter 1 to 5. And of course, that project leader, no, wanted to deliver it to his or her members. No? You need to deliver it in a better communication way. No? Actually, at present, email is not an option. But in a private company, no, email is still the appropriate one. No, use templates for project communications. How will be able to handle conflict? No, as what we have here, we have confrontation, compromise, smoothing, forcing, and withdrawal. No, but do not withdraw your co-members in your project. Okay, try to understand the situation. Discuss, as you can see here with forcing, the win-lose approach no? That is forcing, and so on. Conflict can be good because it produces important results such as new ideas, better alternatives, and motivation to work harder and more collaboratively. In some instances, no, a member doesn't disagree, no, with his leader because even he have a good idea, no, he don't want to inform, no, the leader, maybe because it's just not the fact, no, but maybe, no, he, if you give a suggestions with your team member or team leader, the team leader assign you to do the task, no. Okay, research suggests that task-related conflict often improves team performance, but emotional conflict often depress team performance. So do not be emotional, no? So sabi nga nila, di ba, trabaho lang, walang personalan, para sa grades to, no? Something like that. Okay. Developing better communication skills, no? It takes leadership to improve communication. Yes, of course. So what went wrong? Communication technologies such as using email and searching the web should help improve project communication, but it can also cause conflict. So this will be the example, okay? Running effective meetings. For us to have an effective meetings, we need to observe this one, no? Determine if a meeting can be avoided. Determine who should attend the meeting. And of course, you need to build a relationships. Using email, instant messaging, and collaborative tools effectively. Be sure to send information to the right people. Don't forget that. Be sure to authorize the right people to share and edit your collaborative documents. If you have a concern with your co-members, talk to him or talk to him directly, not with other people, to address the concern. Okay? So this will be the best practice, no, for the, that is June 2006 by the CEO magazines, no? They have 54% of respondents reported handled PC PDAs as the most important hardware. 56% cited web services as the most important software. 53% cited wireless technology as the most important internet technology. So using templates for project communication, many technical people are afraid to ask for help. Totoo yan, no? Providing example and templates for project communication saves times and money. Yes. Sample template for a project description. So we have the objective, we have a scope, assumptions, and cost, and of course the schedule. So this will be an example of a project description. Example of a progress report, no? So actually, in a capstone project, it is also important for you to make a monthly progress report, no? Your professor, no, instructed you to develop a monthly progress report, or sometimes weekly actually, no? So what do you accomplish on the for the month? What will be your plan for the next month? What will be the issues or concerns? And what will be the project changes? Okay. So the final project documentation items, now this will be the one we discussed it earlier. So as you can see here, we need to have a request for proposal, statement of work, proposal correspondence, and so on. We need to have W breakdown structure, Gantt chart, network diagrams, cost estimate, communication management plan. Design documents, final project reports, deliverables as appropriate, audit report, lesson learned, and copies of all status reports, meeting minutes, change notices, and other written and electronic communications. So for the lesson learned, the project manager and project team members should each prepare a lesson learned report. No? A reflective statement that documents important things an individual learned from working on the project. So, what do you have learned from this? Okay, so continue our discussion. No? So we have here a template actually for the lesson learned as what we discussed earlier. So project archives, it is also important to organize and prepare project archives. No? It is the complete set of organized project records that provide an accurate history of the project. These archives can provide valuable information for future project as well. So the documentation is very important. No? So if you encountered problem, for example, with database communication, database connection rather, then how you'll be able to deal with it, no? Especially when it comes to the, especially if the concern is about the, on how it is fitted, no? With your database and at the same time with your with other platform, no? So it must be documented for future use actually. Project website, many project teams create a project website to store important product documents and other information. It can create the site using various types of software such as enterprise project management software. Okay. Then this will be an example of Microsoft Office Enterprise Project Management Solutions. That is under Microsoft, of course. So when the project develops their project communication management plan, they should also determine what templates to use for K documentation. To make it even more convenient to use templates, the organizational should make project templates readily available online for all projects. So the project team should also understand top management and customers' documentation expectation for each particular project. Okay. Then there are many software tools to aid in a project communication because many organizations are discovering how valuable project management software can be in communicating information about individual projects and multiple projects across the organizations. So project management software can provide different views of information to help meet various communication needs. Okay? So even though organizations routinely use many types of hardware and software to enhance communication, they need to take advantage of new technologies and adjust existing system to serve the special communication needs of customers and project teams. So in addition to diverse customers and project needs, they also have to address the changing expectation of consumers and the workforce. Several products are now available to assist individual consumers and organizations with communication. So many products were developed or enhanced in the earliest 2000s to address the issues of providing fast, convenient, consistent, and up-to-date project information. I don't know if you are familiar with webcast, no? It is now a common tool for presenting video, graphics, sounds, voice, and participating feedback live of we have also podcast, no? Also become a popular tool for providing various types of audio information from exercise instruction to class lectures, no? More working adults or college students have cell phones, and today it is not uncommon to see someone take and send a picture or send and receive text messages or email with a cell phone. These same technologies can enhance project communication. So for even more powerful and integrated communication, enterprise project management software provides many work group functions that allow a team people at different locations to work together on project and share project information. So work group functions allow the exchange of messages through email and intranet, no? Wireless devices, or the web, no? So for actually we have also the project 2007, no? So this will be the chapter summary, no? But before that, no, when it comes to Microsoft Office Enterprise Project Management, yung EPM, we have the portfolio management, resource management, and project collaborations. So we need to take note that communication is among the more important factors for success in project management. While technology can aid in the communication process and the easiest aspect of the process to address, it is not the most important. More important is improving an organization's ability to communicate. Improving the ability to communicate other requires a cultural change in an organization that takes a long time, a lot of time actually, hard work and patience. No? Information technology skills, the project manager's chief role in the communication project is that of facilitator. The project managers must educate all stakeholders, management team members, and customers on the importance of good project communication and ensure that the project has a communication management plan to help make good communication plan. In summary, a failure to communicate is often the greatest threat to the success of any project, especially IT projects. So communication is the oil that keeps a project running smoothly. Project communication management involves communication planning, information distribution, performance reporting, and stakeholder management. A communication management plan of some type should be created for all projects. No? So we have different various methods, and this will be the main process. No? Communication planning, information distribution, performance reporting, and managing stakeholders. Okay. So we need to understand that performance reporting involves collecting and disseminating information about how well a project is moving toward meeting its goals. No? Project teams can use earned value charts and other forms of progress information to communicate and assess project performance. Status review meetings are an important part of communicating, monitoring, and controlling process. Stakeholder management involves managing communication to satisfy the needs and expectation of project stakeholders. It also involves identifying and managing issues. To improve project communication, project managers and their team must develop good conflict management skills as well as other communication skills. Conflict resolution is an important part of project communication management. The main causes of conflict during a project are schedules, priorities, staffing, technical opinions, procedures, cost, and the personalities. A problem-solving approach to managing conflict is often the best approach. Other suggestions for improving project communication includes learning how to run more effective meetings, how to use email, instant messaging, and collaborative software more effectively, and how to use templates for project communications. New hardware and software continues to become available to help improve communication. As more people work remotely, it is more important to make sure they have the necessary tools to be productive. Enterprise project management software provides many features to enhance communication across the organizations. Okay, I think that's it for today. Okay, so next meeting will be the discussion about project risk management.